Everybody, welcome back to 18 Outdoors. Got a unique, kind of somewhat controversial little subject or tactic or tip today, and hunting food plots, aka also known as Greenfields, on public land. And first off, have I ever killed a deer on a public land, greenfield or food plot? Yes. Has Kathy? Yes. All bow hunting. So first off, a food plot, what is it? I mean, it's on public land. They do these clearings. You know, some of them is they plant every year. Some of them they plant every other year. It's a variety of stuff. They kind of stage them. But also kind of remember why they do it, and it's, you know, just a secondary food source. So you don't have to have them, you know, for the deer. They don't have to have them most places. I mean, there's plenty of browse and stuff like that that don't have them, but you know, but they create these openings, you know, kind of help with hunting and management, you know. And I've had people talk to me and tell me that years ago there were places where it was illegal to hunt on food plots. So green fields, they call them ethics or whatever back then. So, but you know, it's kind of, some people have ethics about it, but hey, I don't have any issue with it. I don't do it that much, you know. I have, you know. I don't think I've ever gun hunted a public land one, so nor has Kathy. So I know people that have killed some big deer hunting food plots on public land. I mean, all that is kind of situational and can be, you know, semi as a tactic, you know. First of all, you see this place right here. This is a food plot on public land, been freshly disced up. Not sure if it's been, yeah, it's been sold already. So why the deer come to them? First off, when you do a clearing, even on the side of the road, whatever, there's going to be natural vegetation around the edge of these food plots that deer love. Tender stuff, you know, honeysuckle, briar, muscadines, all that stuff is mash crops around some of these food plots that's not, you know, in the woods. You know, persimmons, one of the big ones, you know. So also sawtooth acorns, another one of the big ones. So early mash crop producers that, you know, deer and animals in general love. So anyway, all that's associated with food plot, let alone when they sow this stuff and it starts coming up, it's fresh sprouts, and deer love that stuff because, as a lot of people say, special, you know, land manager and all that stuff, the young tender stuff as it's low to the ground has got a lot more nutrients, more, you know, minerals or whatever, protein, everything that it needs as it's fresh. So deer love that stuff. Some of the deer that I've harvested on food plots, whatever, dust is flying because they come out there and get these little sprouts. So a cool tactic for deer hunting. Sure, you can kill a big one, you know, but it can be tough because you also got to associate it with deer know that these plots that don't take them long, or these openings, are associated with people, so they kind of can treat them a little different. So, but I mean, you can have success, you know, and I have no issue with it. So how would I hunt one? Okay, early season, one of the key things, deer have not been pressured. You can, a lot of places you can sneak into a food plot without doing any kind of racket, any kind of noise, you know, and, you know, hunt it. But what type of food plot would I prefer to hunt? Yeah, generally one associated with some kind of cover, and some of the smaller ones, and some of the ones that's kind of in weird places. Some of them it's right beside access roads that vehicles can drive by, because most people don't think about these, you know, and deer can hear a vehicle and just ease in the woods. And then when vehicles go, they come right back out. They just walk in the woods 10 yards. So, and that's, I mean, pretty simple stuff if you think about it. But, you know, now that the positioning of it, or how you would do that, you know, early season, got plenty of green stuff, plenty of stuff to get into to hide, you know, kind of find, you know, I like, if I do it, associate it with some kind of edge, low point in the field, but you've got to figure out your wind. That's one of the hardest things. And another thing is the bedding part. Sometimes those especially will bed right by the dang food plots and right, you know, into the wind, so they can, you know, they'll hear you, see you, whatever. So it kind of makes that tough. So these ones in pine thickets are associated with pine thickets and cutovers. them edges. You know, I really like them. You know, open woods around them is kind of tough, but so when I decide I'm going to hunt one, I'm finding some kind of edge. You know, you can, like right now, you can walk around and look at this food plot, circle the whole thing, and find old scrapes, old rubs, and fresh tracks. So, and kind of see where they're coming in at. And always remember this: just because the deer is coming right here, don't mean it's coming right here. And that's, you know, stupid statement, maybe. But most of the time when they come out, always remember this: they got trails basically that'll loop these things all the way around them, or partially around them. So does, older does and bucks especially, will circle for a long ways. They'll sneak down beside these food plots, kind of stopping and listening, smelling, trying to investigate if it's safe, because they do not like being in openings, you know, without being, you know, sure or pretty secure that they're safe. So they'll travel, you know, crosswind, wind bumping to them, trying to pick somebody up or pick up danger. And also, when they make their final approach, you know, they'll have like staging areas. They'll get to a spot that's kind of in the shadows or something like that, stop and stand there. I'm talking about, because they'll stand there. I've seen does circle the field before with a fawn, all the way around that thing, and then when she's getting ready to come out, she stopped with the fawn behind her, stood there, froze. Every now and then you see her ear move. You see her lick that nose, looking. Lick that nose, look, reposition their ears different. You know, they're all going different ways. So it's just, and 10 minutes before she decides to come out. Sometimes they'll stand there and wait till dark. So it's kind of tricky. So you know, that's one of the times I've hunted and have killed several deer early season bow hunting deer. You know, they trying to get meat in the freezer or something. Very good tactic again, deer are unpressured. After that, you know, you got another situation. An area, say a pine thicket or cut over, something like that, where it's been a bad drought, or they have clear cut and sprayed, which has killed all the undergrowth. So deer needing food, you know, trying to, you know, raise their babies and, you know, and get, you know, ready for getting pregnant again, or getting ready for winter, just depending on where you're at. They kind of be successful, the food plots in them areas where there's, you know, limited food. So the other time is, of course, the rut, because those young deer love staying around food plots and stuff like that, especially young does. You know, big does, older does kind of are more peculiar about how they use them, you know, but, you know, they will use them. Easy food, and they're not as pressured, especially nowadays, as bucks are. So during the rut, setting up, you know, trying to catch a doe with a buck trailing her. You know, sure, pretty good tactic. Kind of hard because when they, you know, find the right spot for them to come out in the food plot, because a buck, if he's not right on a doe, if he don't trail her out in the food plot, you know, it happens. At times it happens, but a lot of times does, he's out in the food plot, buck circles, finds one, catches one downwind. Either he'll wait for her to come into the edge, or he'll run out there and cut her out, or chase her out, or whatever. So it's got to be, it's kind of, can be fast-paced, you know, and kind of stressful, I guess you could say. So, but I mean, it's good tactic. But you know, it's kind of tough because I was set up where I could see a shoot, you know, 30 yards or so into the woods, in a place where that's coming from a thicket or by edge, knowing that they're going to circle before they come into that food plot or come check for a doe, or if they just going to come downwind, which is tough bow hunting or whatever, because you're going to have to find some kind of unique way where you got the wind going that's good for the deer, but good for you, kind of in the dang edge. So, in the curve where the wind's going that way, the trail comes that way, they're coming, you know, with the wind, so makes it tough. Or, you know, I mean, you just get right on the edge of the field. You know, I know people have climbed in the middle fields in sawtooth trees, or some kind of tree shrubbery or stuff that's left in the middle around the island or something like that, trying to catch them coming out, because they suckers are like the ones over the years that I've hunted food plots and stuff, they don't, 90% of the time they don't come out where you think they're gonna come out. I mean, so I prefer like hunting, you know, some way downwind of a food plot where a buck's gonna circle, or a crosswind. He's coming, you know, wind's going this way, food plot here, he's coming checking that wind that goes across, trying to pick up a doe, you know. that is, you know, a tactic, you know, or you can just hunt on the edge of the food plot and hope that they come out. You know, it's kind of tough, but can be done, you know. So I know plenty of people that, you know, again, it's successful. You know, so if you're handicapped or got some kind of injury or something where you can't go far, you know, you can do them pretty easy. And you can also see a lot of different parts of a piece of public land by hunting different food plots, you know, different styles, different types, you know, different areas, you know, I mean, just different terrain stuff. But just be patient, because if you spend enough time, you know, it can happen. I mean, you can very well kill a big one. Good carry, like if you want to kill meat, very well do that. So it's just, if you got the time, you know, you can spend, you know, daylight to dark on a food plot. You know, some people say, I ain't doing that, you know. So, but they'll use them. You'll see deer at them in odd times of the day. The first deer Kathy ever killed was with a bow on a food plot at 7 o'clock, something like that, 7 something in the morning, something like that. So, and like a small buck, but their first buck with a bow, and it worked. That's what we were trying to do. So, plan it worked. So it can be done. You can be, I mean, after rains is another one, or even during rain is one, you know, a tactic you can use. They like coming out of them, shaking off and get something fresh to eat. They do that a lot, so that's another tactic. So also, you don't have to climb a tree. You know, you can do some ground setups, you know, with a big chair, or just build you like a homemade blind. You know, you can do them like out of dead trees or whatever you can pull up, kind of before season, and kind of have the deer kind of used to it being there, because they'll notice things, you know, pretty daggone quick. So back in the old days, before I had a rangefinder, some of the places that me and Kathy would hunt, I would set rocks or stick a stick in the ground in places out there in the food plot, kind of marking yardage by steps, you know, especially for her. And them daggum deer, if they come out, sometimes they'd see that stuff and they'd stand there and look at a dang stick or whatever for 30 minutes trying to figure out why it's there, knowing it wasn't there yesterday, whatever. So changes like that, you got to kind of pay attention to how you do them, you know, blend them in. Bow season, you could also, you know, maybe try a little decoy or something like that. You know, that's, you know, we don't go worry about, you know, getting shot, hopefully, but, you know, you can do some different things like that, you know, with a food plot. You know, stick their rear end, always put their nose towards you, you know, especially like during the rut or whatever, kind of put the, whatever the animal is, kind of towards you, especially if it's a buck decoy, with the nose towards you, because they'll kind of circle to get to the head of the decoy or the animal that they're kind of checking out. So you can also think about that. But there's just numerous ways to do it, and numerous ways to be successful doing it. So, you know, these nowadays with the saddles and the light lock-ons and all that, you can get into trees more accessible. So, but always remember, I prefer, this is just me, you know, the saddle stuff is fine. I prefer sitting, because it's way easier to get comfortable sitting without moving. But again, on a food plot or something like that, when a deer comes to it to check it out, they're gonna stand there and watch, look, listen, watch, look, and listen. And of a bunch of videos I watch people saddle hunting, there's a lot of movement that they show on video anyway. So it's that kind of makes me nervous, you know, especially with our southern deer down here. So, you know, we got places, sometimes they look more up in the daggum tree than they do on the ground. So it's just, we're in the north, that at times it appears that they don't worry about stuff in the trees, but I don't know. So might be just a north versus south thing, I don't know. Anyway, so, but it's a tactic you can try. I mean, again, you can be successful doing it. I mean, anything to get you deer hunting or get you out into public land, you know, as far as using that, try it. Again, don't be worried about where it's at, because, you know, besides cover is one of the key things to me, and how they can access and get to it without being in the open. So a lot of the places in the south, or especially in Alabama, you know, the food plot stuff are associated with pine thickets, you know, so it's not hard for them to have cover to get to them. They can pop in and out of them quick. And again, any time during the day. So I always think about that. So anyway, I'm gonna head on out of here, head back toward the house. Again, it's September. We're getting ready to go to Wyoming. So hopefully this little tactic about food plots, hopefully I remember everything I wanted to cover. I mean, just remember, you know, you walk around and look at them with rubber boots on and see if there's any kind of mass crop hitting them, because again, mass crops stuff with get sun higher will drop kind of more and maybe sooner, because a lot of these food plots are on the hills. So but kind of look at that. Persimmon's another one. Sawtooths, you know, some of the other stuff that's generally not out in the woods. Check that stuff out, you know. So some of them, when it starts, you know, sometimes in the fall it's a little bit drier. Some of them associated with water holes or pond areas is pretty good to look at too. So but anyway, hope y'all have success. Send me some pictures. Again, hey, it's time to get them flat. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please like and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate y'all's support. Enjoy talking to y'all, and looking forward to see what pictures y'all send us this year. See y'all. Hey everybody, thank y'all for watching the videos. Well, again, we appreciate y'all's support. If you haven't liked, please like and subscribe. And if you don't care, if you haven't got one of our books, check out Amazon and get a book. Also, we got a link on there where you can, on our YouTube channel, where you can go on. We got a little store set up, like if you're interested in any kind of merchandise, shirts and stuff, you can check that out. And we really appreciate anything like that. So again, we appreciate y'all's support. You know, keep watching. We're gonna keep trying to share the outdoors and how we do some things, and try to help everybody that we can enjoy the outdoors. And you know, we do this for just basically because of the environment and the community that's involved and built around hunting. So again, we appreciate y'all. Like, share, and we'll see y'all again.